There's a sound you've grown so used to, you no longer notice it. A voice that narrates your every move, questions your choices, replays old memories like broken film. It speaks in your own tone, your own language. It feels familiar, like you. But what if I told you it isn't? You live inside a room made of words, and every time you pause to think, you are not speaking, you are listening. Not to the world, not to God, but to something stranger, something closer. A voice you've never truly questioned. And the most mysterious part? That voice doesn't always tell the truth. It can lift you up or drag you under. It can predict the future, replay the past, and invent entire conversations that never happened. But it never stops, and it always sounds like you. Yet beneath all of it, the doubt, the stories, the noise, there's another presence. Quiet, steady, watching. That is you. You are not the chatter. You are the awareness hearing it. Let that settle for a moment. You are not the thoughts. You are the witness. And if that's true, then what exactly is the voice? And why have you mistaken it for who you are? For most of your life, you've been listening to it, as if it were your guide, your protector, your inner truth. But the voice is not truth. It is memory, programming, echoes of pain, fear, and repetition. And when you're thinking, truly thinking, you're not creating something new. You're tuning into a frequency that's already playing. A frequency made of everything you've heard, feared, absorbed, and clung to, and called me. But now something inside you is stirring. A stillness, a space, a faint realization that the one listening is not the voice. The one listening is free. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen, not to what I'm saying, but to what you're saying to yourself. What do you hear? Is it planning what comes next? Judging what I just said? Wandering into memory? Whatever it is, just listen. Notice how the voice arises, uninvited, uncontrolled, like a river that never stops flowing. Now take one step back from it. Don't argue with it. Don't silence it. Just watch it. Because in this moment, you've already taken the first step toward freedom. You are not inside the voice is inside you. This is the hidden door, the ancient key so few ever discover, that the one who hears is not the one who speaks, and the one who watches is not the one who reacts. You've spent years believing that your thoughts were you, that your identity was the endless voice whispering judgments, fears, stories, what-ifs. But now, you're beginning to remember. You're not the storm. You're the sky it dances across. You're not the echo. You're the canyon that holds it. And in this realization, there is peace. Not the peace that comes from escape, but the peace that comes from presence. The voice tries to define you, but awareness simply sees. The voice says, I should have. Awareness says, this is what I feel. The voice says, what if I fail? Awareness says, there is breath. There is now. And so you begin the slow, sacred return. Back to the one who listens. Back to the witness. Back to the part of you that was never lost, only forgotten. Because the voice in your head will never stop. That's not its job. Its job is to echo, to protect, to plan, but not to define. Your job is to remember who you are beyond it. You are not the noise. You are the space it moves through. And in that space lies freedom. Let that be enough for now. No need to grasp, fix, or analyze. You're already beginning to see. Now take a breath, a deep one. Feel what silence feels like inside your chest. Not absence, but awareness. Not emptiness, but openness. This is where the real journey begins. Not in changing the voice, but in remembering the one who's always been listening. And now that you've seen it, even for a moment, you can never unsee it. That inner voice is not who you are. It is a program, a mask, a mimic. It began long before you had words, long before your first memory. It shaped itself from the voices around you. Parents, teachers, fear, punishment, desire. You learned to think in order to survive. You internalized commands to belong. And over time, those voices became your own. But they were never yours. They were scripts, written by other people's pain, other people's hopes, other people's confusion about what it means to be safe, to be worthy, to be loved. And now, when you think, you're not thinking with freedom. You're listening to an ancient recording, one that loops through judgment and fear, one that says, you're not enough. You should have done better. What if they leave? What if you fail? What if? The voice has 100 masks, and it wears them well. It pretends to be your conscience, your logic, your intuition, even your soul. But your soul does not speak in fear. Your soul does not threaten, compare, or condemn. The soul whispers like a breeze, soft, sacred, present. It does not shout. It does not panic. It does not repeat. That's how you know the difference. So the next time the voice rises, telling you who you are, what you lack, what you've ruined, pause. Not to fight it, but to see it. And in that sacred pause, you shift. You shift from the prisoner to the witness, from the thought to the awareness. And with each shift, the voice grows quieter. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer holds the throne. You become the listener, the one who decides what enters the temple of your mind. But here is the deeper truth, the one few dare to face. The voice wants you to believe that thinking is safety, that if you just think enough, you'll find peace. That if you rehearse enough, predict enough, regret enough, you'll finally gain control. But thought can never lead to peace. Only presence can. Thought is noise. Presence is silence. Thought loops through the past and future. Presence lives only in the now. And yet, you've been trained to live in your head, as if your head could protect you from life. But life does not happen in the head. Life happens here, in the breath, in the body, in the heart. And so when you mistake the voice for yourself, you miss life. You walk through a forest, but only see your worries. You share a meal, but only taste your regrets. You touch another's hand, but feel the echoes of old wounds. Because the voice never lets you be where you are. It is always dragging you somewhere else, and the cost is your peace. But now, something in you is shifting. Something in you is remembering how to listen differently. Not to the voice, but to the silence underneath it. A silence that doesn't beg for attention. A silence that doesn't explain itself. This is the sacred silence of presence. The stillness that existed before thought. Before you had a name. Before you were told what to be. And it's still here. Always has been. Waiting behind the noise, like a soft light behind a curtain. So let's pull the curtain back, gently. Close your eyes if you can. Not to escape, but to arrive. Let your thoughts come. Don't resist them. Let them rise like mist. But instead of following, just notice. Notice how the voice jumps from one thing to the next. Notice how it tries to fix, compare, predict. And now notice something deeper, the one who's noticing. That is you, not the voice. but the one who hears. Not the storm, but the sky. And in that noticing, you are free. You don't need to stop the voice. That's not the goal. The goal is to no longer mistake it for yourself. To listen to it the way you'd listen to a passing stranger, with curiosity, but not attachment. This is the beginning of real power. Not power over others, but power over illusion. The illusion that thinking will save you, that worry will prepare you, that regret will heal you. They never have. What heals is awareness. What liberates is presence. And what reveals the truth is silence. So stay here for a moment. Let the voice talk if it must. But you stay anchored in the silence beneath it. The silence that was here before the thought. The silence that will remain after it passes. Because thoughts always pass. But the one who sees them, the one who listens, that is eternal. That is you. Now that you've seen the space behind thought, the silent witness watching from within, a new layer begins to open. Because it's not just thoughts that arise in your mind, it's emotions. Powerful, raw, ancient. And just like thoughts, you've been taught to believe that emotions are you. That if you feel anger, you are angry. If you feel sadness, you are broken. If you feel fear, you are unsafe. But none of that is true. Emotions are not identity. They are energy. They are weather passing through your internal sky. They rise, they peak, they pass. Unless you hold them. Unless you believe their stories. Unless you resist them or cling to them or make them personal. And that's when the weight begins. That's when sadness turns into heaviness, fear into paralysis, anger into bitterness. Not because the emotion is wrong, but because it wasn't allowed to move. You weren't taught how to feel without drowning. You were taught to control, suppress, analyze, escape. But your soul is here to feel, deeply, not to be consumed, but to be cleansed. Every emotion is a messenger, not from the mind, but from the body, from the soul. And it comes not to shame you, but to free you. So take a breath. And this time, instead of asking, "Why do I feel this?" ask something far more sacred. What is this feeling here to show me? Not the story, not the memory, just the sensation. Where does it live in your body? Is it a tightness in the chest? A pressure behind the eyes? A heaviness in the stomach? Close your eyes. Bring your awareness there. Don't explain it. Just feel it, as if the emotion were a child. Finally being held. No words, no fixing, just presence. And as you do, something shifts. The emotion begins to move, like water returning to the ocean. Because emotions are like waves, they only drown you when you fight them. But when you feel them, truly feel them, they pass. They soften, they alchemize. This is the hidden gift of presence. You become the sacred container. Not the chaos. You become the fire, not the flame. The ocean, not the wave. The soul, not the storm. And what once felt unbearable becomes light. Because now you are no longer afraid to feel. You are no longer ruled by what rises. You are learning the sacred art of holding space, not just for thoughts, but for emotions too. And here's the deeper truth. Most of the pain you carry is not the emotion itself. It's the resistance. It's the story your mind tells about why you shouldn't feel it. I shouldn't still be sad. I should be over this by now. If I feel this, I'll fall apart. But the only thing that causes suffering is separation. The illusion that you and the feeling are enemies. But what if you were allies? What if sadness came to soften you? What if anger came to awaken boundaries? What if fear came to teach you where you've forgotten trust? Emotions are not obstacles on your path. They are the path. And the more you allow them to move through you, without judgment, without labels, without resistance, the lighter you become. And in that lightness, you begin to sense something else, a space between emotion and self, a stillness untouched by the waves. This is the sanctuary within you, the unshakable core, the quiet center, the part of you that never reacts, only watches, only loves. And it was there all along. You've just been living above it, trapped in thought, tangled in feeling, lost in narration. But now, you're returning home. And this return is not a one-time revelation. It is a practice, a devotion, to pause, to breathe, to observe, to feel, without becoming, to listen, without absorbing, to be, without needing to fix. So let's do that now. Let your thoughts pass like clouds. Let your feelings rise like wind. But you stay in the stillness, like a mountain watching the weather. Say softly within, I allow this feeling. I release the story. I remain. And in that sacred presence, you'll discover something you've long forgotten. You are not here to avoid pain. You are here to move through it. You are not here to suppress emotion. You are here to feel and free. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present. And presence changes everything. Now that you've begun to feel without fear, to let emotion pass through like wind through trees, another veil begins to lift, the veil of control. You were taught, gently, constantly, invisibly, that safety is found in controlling everything, your future, your relationships, your emotions, your image, even your thoughts. But here is the sacred wound buried beneath your striving. You were never in control, and you never needed to be. Let that settle for a moment. Let it breathe. Because your mind may resist, fiercely. It was built to believe that control means survival, that if it just plans enough, predicts enough, protects enough, it can finally rest. But peace does not come from control. It comes from surrender. And surrender is not weakness. Surrender is trust. Surrender is wisdom. Surrender is knowing that the river was never yours to command. You were meant to flow with it. But how do you surrender in a world that taught you to grip so tightly? Start here. Look at your life. How many times did your carefully built plans fall apart? Only to reveal something you never imagined? A redirection, a lesson, a mercy in disguise. And how many times did you cling to a person, a dream, an outcome, only to suffer under the weight of your own grip? Control is an illusion, and the more you worship it, the more you suffer. Because life is not a script, it's a symphony, unwritten, unrehearsed, sacred in its chaos. And yet, the mind wants choreography. It wants guarantees. But the soul wants the dance. So let yourself dance. Close your eyes if you can. And think of something you're clinging to right now. Something you're trying to force, fix, manage, or predict. Notice how your body holds it. Is there tension, tightness, restlessness? Now, breathe. And on your next exhale, release the need to control. Not the situation, but your grip on it. Let the wave move through you. Say softly inside, I surrender this. I trust what I cannot yet see. I allow life to lead me. And as you do, you'll feel something rare. Not immediate resolution, but a loosening, a sacred softening. Because surrender isn't the end of effort, it's the end of resistance. You still act, you still choose, you still show up. But now, your actions are rooted in alignment, not anxiety. In listening, not forcing. In response, not reaction. And from this sacred posture, life begins to open. Not because you controlled it, but because you finally allowed it. You've lived long enough trying to bend the river. Now it's time to float, to let life carry you, to trust that what falls away was never meant to stay, and what arrives is never late. But surrender isn't just about events, it's about identity. The stories you grip so tightly. I am the one who always overthinks. I am the one who must prove my worth. I am the one who's always been abandoned. These identities may feel safe, familiar, but they are not who you are. They are masks, armor, voices inherited from pain. And just like thoughts, you can listen to them without becoming them. Try this now. Pick one identity you often repeat, consciously or not. I'm the anxious one. I'm the strong one. I'm the one who never gets it right. Now ask softly, who told me that? And why have I believed it? Not to blame, but to see. Because awareness dissolves illusion. And once you see the story, you no longer have to live inside it. This is sacred surrender. Not giving up, but giving back what was never truly yours. Giving back the control you thought would save you, and receiving, instead, the peace you've long forgotten. So let's sit here, just for a breath, in the space between doing and undoing, in the quiet where surrender becomes a prayer, and hear the truth you've always known. You are not here to control life. You are here to co-create with it, to move when it moves, to rest when it rests, to receive when it gives, to release when it takes. And when you live this way, open, empty-handed, aligned, you become a vessel for peace. Not a peace that avoids the storm, but a peace that includes it. Because even when the winds rage, there is a stillness at the center of your being, unmoved, untouched, unshaken. And the moment you let go of control, you find your way back to it. You remember who you've always been. Not the one who commands the river, but the one who learns how to float. Not the one who fights life, but the one who dances with it. And that is freedom. Now that your grip has softened, now that you've begun to let go of the illusion of control, there's something waiting beneath the surrender, a door, and behind that door is your heart. Not the physical heart that beats and breaks, but the energetic one, the sacred one, the one that remembers what your mind has forgotten. Because no matter how much you think, how much you analyze, prepare, protect, the wisdom of your life is not found in thought. It's found in the open heart. But this world, it teaches you to close. It teaches you to guard, to armor, to doubt, to build walls where there should be windows, to hide what's soft, to fear what's real. And so your heart, that radiant, aching, beautiful heart, begins to shrink. Not because it's weak, but because it was never taught how to stay open in the storm. But you are ready now, not to tear the walls down all at once, but to begin the quiet work of opening from the inside. Because an open heart is not a vulnerability. It is your supernatural strength. It is the only place in you that knows how to live without fear. So let's go there, gently. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to the space behind your ribs, that tender center you often ignore. Not because you want to, but because it hurts too much to touch. Now, breathe into that space. Don't try to fix it. Just notice it. Does it feel guarded, tense, distant, or maybe just waiting? Let it be whatever it is. Your job is not to force it open, but to sit beside it, like a friend, like a prayer, like light through stained glass. And now say softly, with your inner voice, I allow my heart to be seen. I allow my heart to feel. I allow my heart to open, slowly, safely, in its own time. Because the truth is, you've never really wanted to stay closed. You've just wanted to feel safe. You've just wanted to be loved as you are. Not edited, not explained, just held. And an open heart allows that. Not just with others, but with yourself. When your heart is open, you forgive more. You breathe deeper. You meet the world with less armor and more truth. And that truth magnetizes connection. Not surface connection, but the kind that feels like coming home. Because here is what most people never learn. The walls you build to protect your heart also keep love from entering. You cannot shield pain without also shielding joy. You cannot hide your wounds without also hiding your light. So choose to live without the shell. Choose to live from the center, even when it's trembling, even when it breaks. Because an open heart can break, but it never shatters. It expands. It purifies. It teaches you to feel everything without fearing it. And when you live this way, undefended, present, real, you stop waiting for life to begin. You realize it already has. Every breath becomes sacred. Every glance becomes a blessing. Every ordinary moment becomes a miracle. Because your heart is open to it. And here's the gift the world never gave you. You don't need permission to live this way. You don't need proof that you're safe. You don't need validation that you're enough. You just need to remember that your heart already is enough, exactly as it is, wounded and radiant, tender and true. And when your heart leads, your life follows. You stop chasing perfection. You stop rehearsing pain. You stop shrinking for safety. You begin to glow. And that glow, that warm, unguarded presence, is what heals everything around you. It makes others feel seen. It makes you feel free. So open slowly if you must. Open imperfectly. Open with trembling hands. But open. Because your life is not waiting for you in your mind. It's waiting for you in your heart. And the moment you live from there, fully, presently, vulnerably, everything changes. Not because the world softens, but because you do. You stop trying to control your story and start feeling it. You stop measuring every moment and start living it. This is the power of the open heart. Not a heart that's never been broken, but one that chose to stay open anyway. So take another breath. Let it expand through your chest. Let it melt the unseen edges. Let it whisper softly. I am safe to love. I am safe to feel. I am safe to be. And the more you practice this sacred returning to the center, the more your entire life becomes a prayer. Not of words, but of presence. A prayer that says, I am here. I am open. Let love move through me. And love will, because it always has. You just needed the courage to let it in. And now, you have it. You've walked far now. Not outwardly, perhaps, but inward. Through thought, through emotion, through control, and into the quiet sanctuary of the open heart. And here, in this stillness, you're beginning to remember something older than words, something sacred, that the freedom you've been chasing, the peace you've been striving to think your way into, was never out there. It was never a destination, never a reward for doing everything right, never a perfect moment waiting in some imagined future. It was always here, inside you, silent, steady, waiting beneath the noise, waiting beneath the thoughts that said, you're not enough. You're not ready. You must keep searching. waiting beneath the emotions you feared would break you, beneath the control you thought would save you, beneath the armor you wore to protect your heart. Freedom was never something to earn, it was something to remember, because you were born free, free of story, free of shame, free of fear. But little by little, you forgot. The world told you who to be, what to want, what to fear, and you believed it. Not because you were weak, but because you were human, tender, trusting, and in your desire to belong, you abandoned parts of yourself. But now, piece by piece, you're calling them back. And in that sacred return, you begin to feel it. The freedom that has no opposite. The stillness that is untouched by chaos. The clarity that needs no explanation. This is your home, not a place, but a state. And it welcomes you without condition. Right now, you don't need to change anything. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to think your way to healing. You're already here. The one listening is already whole. The one observing is already free. So rest now. Not because the journey is over, but because you've remembered the path was never outward. It was inward, always inward. The thoughts will still come. Let them. The emotions will still rise. Feel them. The world will still move unpredictably. Trust it, because the difference now is you. You've stopped identifying with the storm. You've stopped resisting the river. You've stopped mistaking noise for truth. You've begun to live from the quiet center, the sacred place inside you that watches without fear, that listens without clinging, that opens without demand. This is not the end. This is a beginning, a rebirth, a quiet revolution of presence, where you no longer seek to escape your life, but to live it fully, openly, bravely, even when it hurts, even when it's uncertain. Because freedom is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of you, undistorted, undefended, aware. So take one more breath, not to calm down, but to come home. Feel the inhale enter. Feel the exhale soften. Feel the truth in your bones. You are not your thoughts. You are not your pain. You are not the voice. You are the sky. You are the space. You are the sacred listener. And from this space, anything is possible. You can meet life without shrinking. You can love without guarding. You can walk without a map and still know the way, because the way is within you. It always was. And now that you've seen it, you'll never unsee it. You'll return to it in quiet moments, in the pause between breaths, in the stillness behind every storm. And each time you do, you'll remember, you are free, not because of what's happening around you, but because of what's awakened within you. So go now, not to rush into doing, but to live from being. Let this remembering move through your days, softly, silently, like light through water. And if the voice ever grows loud again, as it will, don't fight it. Just listen. Then step back and return to the one who's listening. Return to the real you, the silent witness, the open heart, the presence that can never be broken, the freedom that was always yours. And if something within you stirred tonight, if you felt seen, softened, awakened, let it be known. Share your reflections in the comments. Not to be heard, but to speak from the place that now remembers. Because someone else might be listening too. And your truth could help them find their way home. Thank you for walking this sacred path with me. Until next time, stay open, stay free, stay listening. You're not alone.